Ashley Scott is a PhD student under the advisor Stefan Kazmarek and Western Michigan University. Her current projects include a goal to develop the characterization of the mineralogical, geochemical, and textural attributes of two Phanerozoic dolomites. So the first one being the Upper Ordovician, which is the rich Mondian series of the Saluda Formation in the Cincinnati Arch region of the USA. And then the second one would be the Permian Hueco limestone from Marble Canyon, Texas. So yes, thank you, Ashley, for submitting that. Oh, actually, yeah, so Ashley, if you were here and want to speak instead of me speaking for you, please raise your hand. I know you're in attendance, so give you a chance to speak.
Oh, I think you covered mine pretty well.
Okay,
I don't have anything to add. I think you covered it pretty well. But I do appreciate that, and I appreciate you letting us all join.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, the hybrid. This is our first hybrid meeting, so we're still working on the kinks. And then we have
that's
one.
Okay.
Let's see, another Western Michigan, so very prolific. Some advisor probably got them to submit that, so we're very thankful. Katherine Rose doing her master's at again Western Michigan. I'm guessing also advised under Dr. Kazmarek. Current projects is the impact of calcium carbonate reactant size and mineralogy on dolomite stoichiometry, using XRD data to better understand the development of dolomite cation ordering, looking at the impacts of different diagenetic pathways on individual textures, and then finally, the comparison of carbonate abundance quantification methods using XRD. So thank you so much, and that's a beautiful SEM photo that really gives us a sense of the scale she might be working at. Okay, and once again, those who did submit slides, I apologize that you are not speaking, and I'm speaking for you, but
I unplugged the microphone. Hopefully this next one will work.
Oh, can you hear me?
oh yes,
there we go.
can. Oh,
I think I know what it was. The sound on.
I'm Katherine Rose. You just presented my slide. No worries.
No, if you want to add something, please do.
Well, thanks for letting us at least participate in spirit a little and making this hybrid work to all the organizers. Just one more thing, I just defended my thesis and graduated. So I'm working as a researcher at Western Michigan University right now on each of these projects, and I'm looking for a PhD starting in 2022.
Well, congrats, good to hear that. And thank you for joining us. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next slide, and it seems as though we do have the speaker working, albeit for our live audience, it is very volume. But Indah, if you are here, please, we're gonna unmute you and please try to speak, and hopefully, you know, we can present this rather than me.
Okay, I'm Indra from King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. So my study is about carbonate lagoon at the edge of Afro-Arabian Desert Belt. So I tried to reconstruct the platform development from the late Pleistocene to the Holocene. So basically, I try to integrate and to analyze how is the climate and sea level influence the overall platform development. So we integrate sub-bottom profile within our lagoon with multi-beam airborne leader and publish Red Sea sea level. So IMAGE is very unique because this is the only example of a fully rimmed land-attached carbonate platform that has been studied around the world. Can you go next slide, please? Okay, this is our preliminary result. To your left is the interpreted sub-bottom profile. The middle picture represents the Red Sea sea level with paleoclimate since 125,000 years ago. The green bar represents the pluvial period. And to your right is the depositional model of the IMAGE platform. The bottom part, the yellow rectangle, represent the IMAGE condition during the late Pleistocene MIS5E, while the platform was flooded, high sea level in combination with pluvial period. We have carbonate deposition everywhere. The middle picture, the black rectangle represent the last glacial maximum during MIS2. We have low sea level in combination with arid climate, platform was totally exposed, and we have no accumulation. The pink rectangle represent a present day, while we have the intermittency level. And during this time, we have a combination or a battle zone between carbonate and clastic deposition, as well as abrasion. That's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. And if Ramdani, you are here, we're going to unmute you, but please raise your hand so it's easier to identify.
Okay, so again, thank you for inviting me for this talk. So the objective of my project is about the understanding the 3D spatial distribution of the stromatoporoid coral buildups in the late Jurassic. So the understanding of the 3D distribution of these fascias is important, especially from the economical perspective, since many supergiant carbonate reservoirs in the Middle East is characterized by this high porosity, high permeability stromatoporoid coral fascias. So in order to understand this distribution, we perform a modern outcrop analog studies on a 1 kilometer square area in Saudi Arabia, where we integrate digital outcrop model with geophysical surveys and core data to completely image this fascias distribution in three-dimensional distributions. So if you go to the next slide, so this is the snapshots of the results that is shown here, where we observe there is a scaling relationship and self-organization to the build-ups, where we identify 3 distinct scaling organizations of the build-ups presented by this presentation, and the statistical summary to your right. As you can see also in this Rose diagram, the build-ups are initially meter scale half spherical, which then congregate in time into tens of hundreds of meter scale pseudo-ellipsoid with a strong orientation. And the larger the build-ups are, the more strongly oriented they are, which potentially caused by the influence of hydrodynamic regime, which then self-restrict the growth orientation of the build-ups itself. So in this project, we are also utilizing this information to build a 3D fascias model based on the statistical observation of the build-ups, and then will be utilized to build high-fidelity 3D reservoir model to investigate the effect of this laterally heterogeneous fascias to the production and enhanced oil recovery. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. You guys, let's see, Sara Hayes.
Okay, my name is Sara Hayes. I work under Dr. Stefan Kazmarek. My research for my master's thesis was using mercury to understand the Niagara-Salina transition in the Silurian Michigan Basin, United States. We're trying to basically understand why there was such a drastic transition from the Niagaran reefs to the Salina evaporites, and hopefully understand a little bit more about mercury as a paleo proxy and what it actually tells us about paleo environments.
Hey, thank you so much. Ariel Much, also at Western Michigan University. She's a first-year PhD student working with Stefan Kazmarek in the Carbonate Petrology and Characterization Lab. Her current research involves experimentally evaluating the relationship between cation ordering and oxygen and clump isotope fractionation in dolomites. Her project is funded by a collaborative grant from the NSF, where Western Michigan University is the lead institution, but she'll be working closely with collaborators and researchers from both University of Michigan and Grand Valley State University. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Gaurav, and I'm a PhD student working with Professor Volker Fahrenkamp at King Abdullah University, Saudi Arabia. The focus of my talk is the interval region blind spot and what's in it. So let's just quickly get oriented. The figure here represents the map of Saudi Arabia. The star represents the my current location, KAUST, and the arrow represents the study location. Now, how we illuminate this interval region blind spot? We use outcrop analogs. And in this study, we are looking for specifically the depositional heterogeneity associated with the buildup and the inter-buildup, and the diagenetic heterogeneity associated with the dolomite geobodies. To understand the geometry, potential connectivity, and heterogeneity at the interval scale, which impacts the fluid flow in the subsurface reservoir. Now, can you move to the next slide? Yeah, and how we do it? So we go to the outcrop, we log sections, take samples, we use drone to acquire the photogrammetry and hyperspectral data, and behind the outcrop, we take cores. Again, behind the outcrop, the 3D GPR followed by the petrographic and geochemical investigation. Now let's talk about the preliminary results. So the preliminary results indicates that the exposed species and dolomites in the outcrops are equivalent to the subsurface RFD reservoir. On the depositional heterogeneity side, we do have buildups associated with the stromatoporoid and rhodists and the interbuildup facies, and also channels filled with stromatoporoid, cladocorapses, and clasts. This line here represents one of the GPR line, and the key feature to highlight here is if you can see this mounded features, the buildups, and in between the buildups is the interbuildup strata. So we have the buildup and the interbuildups. On the diagenetic heterogeneity side, we have a kilometer scale pinch out of multiple stratiform dolomite layers. One of this dolomite layer here is indicated with this red arrow, and they are low temperature dolomites and formed by water with slightly elevated salinity as compared to the Jurassic seawater. One of the key thing I would like to focus here is if you look in detail on these dolomite layers, they are quite heterogeneous. So in terms of the reservoir properties, they can form a best reservoir and they could be like a buffet. So it's like very critical to understand their distribution and potential connectivity in the interval scale. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming back and talking about that. Really appreciate it.